All right, we're live. I
All
think we're
right.
live.
Hello. Check. 1, 2.
We're here. Let's see. We got both our levels here. I'm up here. You're down there, so you can see your levels. I can see your my
Right.
level.
Right there I am. Yep. Hello.
Cool. Yeah, episode 72 here,
72. How do you like that?
BFS Live, and we are here with Zippy. I just posted an Instagram story so the people know we're up. Hopefully, someone in the chat can let us know everything sounds good. But I checked it earlier, and it worked. So hopefully it works.
All right. Good. So you got it going then.
Yeah, we'll see.
Sounds good.
Yeah, so we're here with Zippy.
Hello out there at the YouTubes.
If you don't know Zippy, Zippy has been around forever.
For a minute. Yeah. Right.
You're like, I have this idea I throw around in my head a lot about this podcast. I'm always thinking about like, oh, we could do this segment, or I could ask this question. And this is one I keep going back to. And I feel like the conversation could be, who is on the Mount Rushmore
Right.
of Rochester action sports, right?
Oh gosh.
And it's interesting because I think you undoubtedly would be on it, but I don't think many people really know you. In the bike scene, they do because you're a biker.
Right. I was always kind of behind the scenes. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's a good segue into
And still to this day, Zippy. Right.
yeah. Funny thing about Zippy is I've known you for like a decade, and I don't even know your name because you're just Zippy.
Right. That's exactly right. That's how a lot of people know me. Really.
Yeah, so Zippy's a ramp builder, carpenter.
No, it was all started when I was 18. Really, started doing roofing.
Yeah.
So it's a 40-year roofing
Okay.
career, but always had a passion for framing also.
Yes. Like we alluded to, Zippy has built, I don't know, a quarter, a third of the skate parks that you've ridden that have been in Rochester. And so that's why it's so important to get you on, really. 'Cause
Right.
the beginning of this podcast, we had my buddy Pat on, and we had Jimmy on, and we're just talking about skate parks, and the comments are like, oh my God, I haven't heard about that park in so long. And I'm like, I got to get Zippy on.
Right.
So, Zippy,
Well, for me, it started out really in the 70s. A lot of people don't understand, but Darien Lake was actually a skateboard park when it first started. It was a skateboard park / petting zoo camping resort. Very weird. It didn't seem to last long. And
so that's the first skate park you heard of?
yeah, and was brought by relatives there, where my mom would rent a board, we'd rent a helmet, and have our way down these snake runs that spilled out into like a vert wall type area.
And what year was this?
Man, I want to say it was like 78, believe it or not.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
We're going way back, probably when I was, 12, I'm thinking.
So we're going to add this to the Rochester
Yeah,
skate park history.
right.
In the 70s, apparently, there was a skate park in Darien Lake.
Right, exactly right.
Okay, well, that pushes us back an extra 25 years.
I think I know. I looked it up. I think there are YouTube videos as such. I think it was called Darien Lake Fun Country.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. There was a similar thing in New Jersey. In North Jersey, there's a ski slope.
Right.
I forget what it's called. And they had a downhill mountain bike park. Now it's called Mountain Creek. When I was younger, it was called Diablo. But if you go way back,
Wow.
there was this crazy water park there called I don't know, Adventureland or something like that. There's like always like reels and stuff on Instagram of this like the most deadly water park
I was
ever.
just going to say
They had a
Suicide
loop.
Park, I think they called it.
They had
even.
a loop.
Right.
Crazy. But apparently I heard that was like the first skate park in New Jersey is they built this like
Right.
concrete, they like poured concrete on top, but like there was a gap where the concrete met the pavement, so it was just like you couldn't really skate it, and it was the skate park was
crazy.
so
Yeah.
it's funny to hear this Darien Lake had a skate park thing, and there's a parallel to New Jersey.
Yeah,
But-
right.
So
Right, weird. So for me, there was a stall from there. I mean, because for me, biking was always just a mode of transportation. It was a way to get from my house. We had more freedom probably than kids today would have. So we just get home, get out of your school clothes, get the chores done, and then hit the road with our bikes. Be lost until dinner.
Oh, you're old. You're probably Gen X, older than Gen X.
And then after that, I don't know. Actually,
What year were you born?
I've never looked that up. Believe it or not, 65.
65.
Baby. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a good year, back in December. So that's going to put me at this year. It's going to put me at 60. Believe it or not.
So in the 70s when you heard of the skate park at Darien, like were you riding or skating?
Not really. No, it was kind of more of my brother and I. He was 3 years younger than me. We kind of dared ourselves to make it down
Okay.
the snake run. Get mom to rent some equipment so we can make our way down.
Oh, they had rental stuff.
Yeah.
Wow. That's
Yeah,
cool.
it was pretty wild. So then really it skipped, and then like I said, roofing career right out of high school, 84 that would be, and then my girl then, who is my wife now, we had our children. Chris was born in 90. So that puts me getting back on my bike at 30 it was, because Chris, my oldest, he was 5 or 6.
Okay. So when did
that's
you get
kinda-
into riding?
That's kind of when I got back in. It was like I literally got off it from those 70s times. Just like I said, transportation. It was transportation,
Yeah.
80s through the 80s.
Yeah.
And then obviously once you get a car, you're just off and running with a car.
Of course, yeah.
You know? So then I didn't take another interest in it till I turned 30, when my kids were saying, "Dad, let's go to the skate park," and because we saw this ad in Grease Post. It was that, "Hey, come check out our new ramp room at Spinners," and that had to have been around 96 or so, and bikes weren't allowed. It was always the thing, and like
Yeah.
those guys like Jim and Bob and Ryan.
Brian,
It
yeah.
was Jim C. was there.
Yep.
Greg Walsh was in there.
Yep. We just had Jimmy on, and he mentioned how Greg Walsh
Used
set
to
up the
rent-
bike night.
Right,
Yeah,
he would
yeah.
rent the room from this guy.
And Bob would have been Jimmy's older brother.
Okay, right.
That'd been-
yeah,
that'd been
okay,
Big
that's
Big
right,
Bud.
too. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he would rent this room, and then we would all just pay him to be able to participate, because that's what it seemed like. Well, it's like, if we're not going to be allowed at regular hours, then we want a private session.
Yeah, yeah.
And that was the only way in, really. So then as I was into that, as time went by, I kept saying, because guys from Buffalo built that initially. And that's where I met Jason and Joe. And they're like, we want
And
to...
Jason was the owner of X Dreams.
Right.
And who was Joe?
His friend, who was
Okay.
the DJ at the time.
Okay.
It was the two of them who would literally like dress up in suits and go talk big wigs into investing in this park that he was going to build. Had a big vision, a big picture, blueprints to show him. Like, he talked that guy Wilmot, the young Wilmot, the mall magnate. His father owns the malls, probably.
So you're saying during the days when Spinners existed,
Right.
Jason, who
Was
ultimately
working
owned,
hourly at Spinners.
so he was
There we
Jason, who
go.
worked at Spinners,
Yes.
was conspiring, so to speak, to open his own skate park.
Exactly right.
And he
And go big, though.
and he got Wilmot was the family that owned all the malls, so he got them
Right.
in.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's how they found that location in Henrietta. It was an old Bally's Holiday Health.
Okay.
And we all jumped in a truck, and we had a permission to go out and see Woodward. And
Okay.
this was before my mind was even expanded on the fact that ramps can be framed in a certain way, but you can also build bold corners. I had never even
Yeah, we talked about this
I
a little
never
bit.
considered it in my head.
We talked about that a little bit on the last podcast, where while when I opened in 2016, there still wasn't a lot of resources on running the business of a skate park. There was
Right.
plenty of resources on how to frame and build ramps.
Right.
But you go back to the early 2000s or 90s, it's like
Right, and where
you have
are
to
you getting your
figure it out.
insurance and things
Yeah.
like that?
Oh, geez, I
right.
didn't think about the insurance. Yeah, but just I was
Right.
simply talking about how do I even build?
How do you
this,
start this, right?
Because you're trying to mimic concrete, is what you're trying to do.
And there's an interesting story with that too, because this Bally's Holiday Health. Well, I was talking about the Woodward thing, and we had permission to go under the ramp. So, like, literally, I'm looking up at the underside of the ramp, and I'm like, "Whoa, look at that!" Like, literally, bold corners all out of wood
Yeah, because when they do a bowl corner, you have to like scallop out the 2x4
in both directions, right? So you have to set,
In both, yeah.
you have to get a 2x6 to fit
Well,
perfectly in there.
The face of it is scalloped, and then
Right.
the sides are angled and beveled.
Compound miter,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah,
right.
yeah.
So you got to find all these angles, and mind you, this is every 8 inches. So
Yeah.
you're getting that board in there, and then
Eight
you take
inches?
it over a jig. Yeah, I know, like every 8 inches, yeah. and you get it over there, and you have to put it in a jig and run it through and scalp it.
Yeah.
In a bandsaw we always had going. But interesting, man, interesting. So yeah, so then
you
the
helped
Bally's
build
Holiday
Extremes One?
Health. Yeah, the very long building, and there used
Okay.
to be a pool in there, and we had to frame over the pool
Wait, there was a pool
in the building, right? Yeah.
underneath the ramps at Extremes One.
Well, it was back where the end of the ramps were and the video games were before the offices and all that. Because he had this big upper glass window where you could sit in an office and overview the whole park.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild like that. Like for lock-ins, I and my kids were able to go back in the offices back there for the lock-in and have our own little room all set up. So we'd ride all night long, and kids are sleeping out there on the park like in your setup. We had a little spot to come like this where we could set up on our own.
This year's
Pretty wild.
was my first lock-in with the foam pit,
Oh yeah,
and it was
right.
not well attended. I only had like 6 or 7 kids come to the lock-in, which is
Oh, that's
not great.
lousy, right?
But they all slept in the foam pit, and they slept in the foam pit together.
oh wow,
It was
that'd be
adorable.
interesting. Yeah, right.
Adorable, dude.
Sounds like a photo
Yeah.
for me. Yeah, a photo
Okay.
photo opportunity. I mean,
Actually, one of the kids left there's pillow, so now there's
no.
a pillow in the
in
foam
the
pit.
lost and found.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still hanging
No,
out.
I'm just leaving it in the foam pit. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah, right.
So okay, yeah.
But
So
funny story was Joe was cleaning up in the morning, and Jason had already taken off after a lock-in.
yeah,
We're up there sleeping, and we just wake up all like freaking sand in our eyes, like
Yeah.
they say, or whatever. And all of a sudden, Joe's like, "Oh, dude, holy cow! I didn't even know you were in there. I was just getting ready to leave, you know." And my kids always go back to remembering all these times going with me while I'm building stuff or framing or whatever. And, and then we built that bowl in Henrietta.
wait. So let's
Initially.
not get the Extremes 2 yet.
That's what I was almost.
No, we're
ready
at
to do,
Extreme.
the one
Henrietta
built.
was 1.
Henrietta, yeah, it was
All right,
the long stretched out building.
Preface.
Right, yeah. See, and then when you guys
Extremes
talked
1
about
was Henrietta. Extremes 2 was East Rochester.
There we
So
go.
you were involved with the initial build of Extremes 1?
Yeah, all the
from
way
the very beginning,
from meeting
from the get-go.
Wilmot. And,
Okay.
Yeah.
So then the bowl was built later?
Yeah, it was built up near the entrance of the place off to your right, where I think it used to just be a seating area. Like people would come in and like you would stage
Okay.
there, to go ride.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
I never went to Extremes 1, so I have no idea what you're talking about.
There is actually some footage on YouTube.
I've seen
from-
footage. My friends
from
went
that.
there,
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly right. So, but see, that building was just so stretched out and long that I don't think people liked it initially because it didn't have real flow going on.
Hmm.
Because I believe once we got into the East Rochester location, everything got tighter, so the flow got more insane. Like when you would come down a roll in, hit a 7-foot, which got cut down to a 6-foot box jump, to that big return wall. That thing was 16
Yeah.
feet high with bold corners.
If people don't realize how big
That thing was massive.
those old skate parks were. That's
Yeah.
how it was back in the day. Big transition, big ramps. Like, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, you'd have to.
Now, Jason that owned Extremes, what was his relationship to riding? What did he ride?
I think initially he was on rollerblades, I believe. Yeah. Yeah, and then he eventually switched to like everything. He was BMX and he was skateboarding. He was.
I know
just
he's a
doing-
motocross
He
guy
was doing
now.
a huge motocross guy.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we rode with him motocross too. Actually, me and my kids did. Yeah.
Okay.
He jumped some gaps, man.
So then Extremes has to move, which that's a different discussion on why and whatnot. But you help move it. You helped the disassembly.
I think it was the space. It was just so big, like, and that's the story I was starting to tell before too. Was the floor? There was this track around the whole perimeter of the thing, and we thought it was just cement on top of more cement, and then we rent jackhammers and start chipping away, and it's asphalt on top of cement. So now we're getting down in underneath all this stuff, and it's like, oh no, the concrete's wasted. So we're trying to go, oh, what are we going to do? We're going to have to get bids to fix this concrete. And the bids for pouring a slab that big, we're just forget about it.
Yeah.
Huge cost. So, I mean, it seemed like everything always would come up to us in a dream. It's almost kind of why we named it that almost, because how are we going to fix this? And you would go home, think about it a while, and you come home, come in the morning, you had the answer to the problem. So,
Yeah.
so
That's why I continue to say I'm keeping the dream alive. That's me
Right, and
paying homage to.
that's homage. Yeah,
Yeah.
totally right. Yeah, because it is kind of keeping the dream alive. Because in this day and time, it's not an easy dream to keep alive.
No.
You know? Let's face it. But and that's how the framing of the floor came into play, because it was cheaper to buy a whole other, I think they're called units of 2x4s, like 312 to the unit to frame the floor on a 12-inch center and all the 3/4 ply.
Yeah.
Like today, I don't think you can even touch the price,
Yeah.
because
I couldn't even imagine.
I don't even know what the price was for all of it. Honestly, that wasn't part of my thing. My thing was
I want-
give me some plans.
Yeah.
I'll build what you want. But if it's wrong, it's not because I said to build it this
Yeah.
way. You know what I mean? Things have to get changed usually to make shit flow.
Now, before you were involved with building Extremes, and to my knowledge, Extremes was, to what you're saying, was the first skate park that ever had a fully framed floor all the way wood all the way through.
Yeah, we would
So-
have people coming in to see what we were up to, and they're just like mind blown. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, we could do it this way too.
So prior to being involved with Extremes, did you have ramp building experience outside of your roofing and framing?
No, it was just starting in spinners and
So you did something with spinners.
talking the talk though, just like, yeah, I could do that.
Yeah.
But then you'd have to back it up, so you'd
Yeah.
have to get creative, and you always made it seem to everybody that you had this.
So you built some stuff for spinners.
Right, that outdoor park actually I built. I forgot to mention that. That was in the parking lot, and it was
Wait,
all pressure treated.
Spinners?
Yep, spinners.
So spinners had a
Yeah.
all right. So spinners had a room with
Yeah,
ramps,
they had a room.
and then
where
later
it
they
started.
built like an outdoor skate park.
Yeah, which people would hop the fence and get to ride for free after hours and stuff too. Yeah.
God, wow! How long did that exist? Did they put skate light on it?
No, it was like the thing was the skate light was like 120 a sheet even back then.
Yeah.
Now it's probably what, $200 or better?
More than that.
More than that. Insane.
More than that, yeah.
amount. So they went to some guy got a trailer and they went and got blue board. Excuse me, from Canada is what I understood.
Blue board.
Yeah, it was like some kind of plastic,
Okay.
and we just screwed it in the same way, with
Yeah. And commenting about this and this, and then all of a sudden you just drop this on me. Well, Spinners also built an outdoor park. This is
Yeah,
the
right.
story of Rochester's skate park history is so unbelievably rich.
Yeah.
Like I'm learning through these podcasts that,
Yeah.
like obviously, like I said, I'm keeping the dream alive.
Sure.
I'm paying homage paying homage to the old parks.
For sure.
I am aware and appreciate that. Like I'm doing this thing, But I'm learning it's even bigger than I thought. It almost puts more weight on my shoulders.
Yeah, yeah, I guess
That's
I could
crazy.
see that.
'Cause
Yeah, we don't want to do that.
I'm
though.
8 years in.
But yeah, right. 8 years is
I've
a
done
good
longer than
run.
anyone.
Right.
Anyone, which is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
And it feels like I get more people that complain than anything. I know that's not true, but you just remember the negative
Well,
comments.
yeah, because that's what really you remember. Yeah,
But
because
I
when
think-
I build something, that happens to me too. They're like, "Oh, this sucks," and you're like, "Great, I just spent
Yeah.
3 days building it." Yeah.
Yeah, I think the complaints are usually it means you're doing it right though, because the challenging thing is when you're trying to make everyone happy, you can't, right?
No,
It's not
you're
going to be
not.
great for anyone. It'll be good for almost everybody. So like, it's well, it could be a little like yeah, it could be a little steeper if it was bikes, but it's not bikes.
Right.
So it's got to be a
Right.
little bit mellower. So with skateboards,
Right. Right. And then, like you said,
Yeah.
it's not even the bikes that are causing all the damage. Really, it's the
No,
one wheel,
yeah.
2-wheel pressure points.
Yeah,
So-
for me, the big thing has been the scooter kids trying to jump big stuff and land flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
Right.
they'll blow right through the 3/4 ply.
Without a doubt,
It's
right? And
tough.
see, that's the trouble we used to do too. Jason and I were like, well, let's just do 3/4 floor, but we're going to use the double 3-ply half, up transitions, followed by that tempered hardboard, which was always called some funny name like Ucatex.
Equiboard.
Ecoboard now,
yeah,
I
yeah.
think so, yeah. But it's weird what you learn when you get right down to the science of building a ramp,
Yeah, yeah.
But,
Okay, so-
man, there was something else I was going to mention too. Oh, that Horizon thing. Remember, they had metal ramps inside a skate park in Horizon.
Horizon. Where was that? Was in Greece.
Ling Road
Gates?
in Greece. Yeah,
Okay.
Greece. Now, I think it's something Jimmy didn't mention, but those metal ramps used to be set up in the parking lot of ESL. The ESL skating place, ice skating. But now it's called, it was called Bill Gray's for a while, and now it's called Tim Hortons Iceplex, I think,
Wait,
in
really?
Henrietta. Yeah.
That
Like, there's people, I
were they
don't
set
think
up
they
there for
remember
like
that.
one event or something?
No, it was there for like a couple summers, I want to say. It was all portable. This dude
Well,
made
okay.
it. A guy named Mike made this all out of like a pipe bender, and then he welded it all together.
So you're saying
Wild. With skate light, too.
wait, when was these Horizon? When did they have ramps? What year are we talking here?
You know, I'm not good on the years
No, okay.
anymore. This was
So
terrible.
prior to
Because I tried to do some research myself before this whole thing, trying to
this is
put
blowing
some
my
dates
mind.
to it. Yeah.
So prior,
Do you have anybody chatting up the thing yet?
well, we're on. This is going to be on Instagram Live.
Right.
So and this is up on YouTube. I got nothing in the chat on
There's
YouTube.
nobody
But,
asking questions.
yeah, not yet. So you're okay. So
Because I'm trying to put a date to that.
So
too,
Horizon had ramps, which Horizon was another roller rink that had a skate park.
Right, and those
And you're saying those ramps were at
they were
the
just
Iceplex by MCC.
outside, right?
Outside.
Yep.
And how the hell did that come to? Was that a public or is that a private thing?
No, that was a public thing. Yeah, yeah. It was just something that.
Was there a
dude,
name?
Mike, I think his name was Mike Parker, talked, and no relation to the Hank Parker rental thing or nothing like that.
So a
but
man named Mike Parker convinced.
convinced them that we can set this up and you'll have a roller skating extreme ramps outside, and you'll have ice skating inside. And,
Oh my god! See, I've never even heard that.
yeah, but see, the thing I remember too was like he didn't care what he was playing on the music either. This was when Eminem first hit the scene.
Okay, so we're talking early 2000s.
So I'm like, whoa, what is the lyrics on this? You know?
Yeah.
Wild stuff.
So there was.
But he had a contract, so he would just laugh it off, like, whatever.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. Good
So,
times.
so now
man. See,
we're adding even more stuff to the history here.
right
So-
there, we
oh my
definitely
God.
did. Yeah. So then we got Spinner 1 and 2.
There's no Extremes 1 and 2.
Or, I mean, yes, right. Well, there's a Spinners in
So where
Buffalo,
was-
too, actually.
When Horizon had ramps, did that overlap with when Extremes was open? The first Extremes.
You know, I think it must have.
It must have.
It must have.
And when those ramps were outside
It must have.
the Iceplex there at MCC, was that pre-Extremes or at the same
I
time?
want to say that was open during that time, too, I'm thinking. Like,
That is
or maybe
so
just
crazy.
a little before Extremes.
It's blowing my mind.
Yeah, maybe a little before Extremes. See, there was some other point I was going to make, too, but
Dude, this is. I
there's a
thought
lot
this
of
was deep.
points.
It's like the meme with Charlie from Always Sunny with all the strings we're putting together, the story of
Right.
Rochester skate parks.
You're right.
And the more I bring people to talk about it, the deeper it gets.
Well, you talked about the Henrietta one that opened up for a short time.
Yeah, well, you told me about
Yeah,
that.
that was framed by a guy named Coleman.
Oh,
Dan.
Dan Coleman.
Yeah,
Okay.
Dan,
I
right.
should talk to him.
Yep.
So that was-
he's the
so-
one who framed the view area over here.
So the other park in Henrietta, was that open at the same time as Extremes, or was that before
No,
Extremes?
I think that was before because this guy infiltrated kind of Spinners and,
Okay.
and was like being this assistant manager guy.
Oh, the same way Jason did.
But the whole time he was trying to learn
Yeah.
the methods of how to open up my own place with roller skating, though. This guy wanted to. So he had a roller rink / skate park. Yeah.
Now, do you recall what
yeah.
that skate park in Henrietta was called?
Man, I wish I could, but no, I don't.
Damn.
No, I don't. Because then you talked about Scuffs, too, and I didn't have anything to do
Yeah.
with Scuffs. That was in Irondequoit.
East Ridge.
Yeah, right, exactly behind Shaler's. Right.
That's the sign. Someone actually reached out to me, who I don't know if they were involved with Scuffs, but they archived a bunch of Scuffs information and sent me some links to a Facebook page, all these pictures and videos from Scuffs.
No doubt.
I know when I moved here years ago, the sign was still up for Scuffs skates. Recently, it had been taken down, and I heard rumors that the ramps were still inside that building where Scuffs was. And I mean, but that's how it always goes. Like people tell me,
Yeah.
"Oh, dude,
Well,
the bowl
yeah.
from Extremes, it's still there."
Still, yeah.
But then when you told me that, but underneath Extremes 1 there was an empty swimming pool, like that's the same thing. It's the same
Right,
thing.
right.
Oh my god!
But it was one of those like Olympic pools, so you couldn't skate it. It
Yeah.
wasn't like a swooping California pool. It was
All right,
more
let's-
like a choppy build.
Let's
pool.
swing back around. Okay,
Yeah, I was trying to make sure we hit
Extremes.
all points too, but
1, you built it, you helped build it.
yeah.
Then
like lead frame, really.
lead framer. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
Then Extremes moves. That's a different conversation as why. So then you help
Man.
disassemble.
No, I didn't. No,
You
I
didn't
didn't
help
get
disassemble.
involved with that. No,
So
but I was called once it was all in the
So-
building. Yeah.
Extremes disassembled.
Mhm.
They moved the whole skate park
Right.
to East Rochester.
Exactly. Smaller
Then they
building.
called you and they said, "Hey, we got to put this puzzle
Let's
back
put this
together
back
again."
together, yeah. And I'm like, oh, we're gonna lose a lot of lumber, like, because we didn't like label anything, and we just gonna
Okay.
take saws to stuff and rebuild it basically. And it was pulled off, but we scrapped a lot of wood because of it, you know.
Yeah.
Like the bowl got smaller in the new building,
Yeah. Now the
you know.
method of building.
And I think we had the floor framed in on that too, actually.
Yeah, most of it.
We
Yeah.
left some of it what we called street,
Yeah, on the street
where
side.
the
Yeah, because
plate-
I
where
went
the
to
plates
Extremes
came down.
too once or twice.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
But man, we always had such good times.
Totally.
Just building the place and all that. And like I say, it was strange for me because I'm getting back into this at 30.
Yeah.
So now, you know, like I said, 65. Here we are in 2025.
Yeah.
Kids were asking me, "You gonna ride when you're 50?" I'm like, "Well, why wouldn't I?" You know. And this was way before, you know, like cement parks were even thought about, really. You know, around here.
So do you know how long Extremes 1 was open?
And I think, you know, I think it opened around. I want to say like right after towers hit the ground, probably. We always
2001.
we
Yeah.
always say that pre and after.
Yeah.
But, so, you know, and then I looked at the thing. I think 2008 was the Red Bull Trick or Treat Jam. So that was after Henrietta was long gone, though, because Trick or Treat Jam 2 was actually in Extremes, in the building right inside of there. Remember, they put that quarter pipe right in front of the big return wall that we
Yeah.
had.
So you're
That
saying
return
the
wall was
first
16
Extremes
feet
was
high.
probably 2001,
Right.
and the second Extreme closed at the latest
must-
09, but probably 08.
Probably, yeah, even before
Because
that.
Rasp
Because
opened
Rasp opened
in
up,
May of 2010,
right.
and I know their build out was like a whole summer. So that means
So he must have not been in Henrietta for very long.
so they must have started building Rasp in the summer of 2009.
Right. Because
so
there was
then-
a search for the building for a while, too.
Yeah, so that means the latest Extremes 2 could have closed would have been like very early 09 or very late 08.
Something like that.
Well, Trick or Treat would have
I-
been October, so it would have been
Right. You can look up on YouTube. There's like where it says final session.
okay.
Actually,
All right, fair.
Yeah, I think
We could
there
look that
is.
up.
I think there is. You know, because I got a bunch of pictures of the build of the move and stuff,
Yeah.
but I left them out in the truck.
All right, so then
I didn't know if it was critical to the
so
conversation.
they move all the ramps or they move all the lumber, and then they
Right.
call you and say, "Hey Zippy, we got to rebuild this skate park." And then
Right.
you know, for the second time in your life, you built a skate park. You built
Right, and that was a
Extremes
rush.
2 in
And
Henrietta.
there was a lot of guys helping me on that one
Yeah.
too. There was actually night crews working on that too, because it was a rush type thing. Like, there's no money to have a void.
Of course,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah,
So
100%.
it's like I understood that, so I committed to, all right, let's just do. What did I tell them? Let's just do 12-hour days, 60-hour weeks. I think.
Yeah.
So I remember we did 14 60-hour weeks to get that on my side, days anyways. I don't know what the night crew.
And you weren't working another job in this point in time. I'm just building a skate park.
Right, I set aside, by then I had my own roofing stuff going, so I
Okay.
could set aside my schedule. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I always looked for, like, you know, winter work, obviously. Like the boss always used to buy, like, a rental property to work on in the
Yeah.
winter time, yeah.
So
Good stuff, though.
after Extremes, unless there's anything particular you want to bring up about Extremes 2,
No, just I
could move
thought
on.
it was a much tighter layout. I really did. I thought
It's crazy you're
thought
saying
the
that.
flow was better in there, you know.
When I went to Extremes 2, I thought those ramps were huge. Like, it's so big. I was a street guy.
Well, we were used to big stuff
Yeah,
by then because
for sure.
Henrietta had the big roll-ins too.
Yeah, for
you
sure.
know. See, that was the thing too. Actually, I remember Jason and a friend of his broke out and got a job, the Black Mamba. Actually,
Yeah.
they built the Black Mamba. Jason and his friend. I forget his name though. It's
The
one of
first Black Mamba.
Yeah, the one that. Well,
Oh my God.
Yeah, the one that was in the
It's
mall.
I mean, it's a small world, the skate park
Yeah, the
industry,
one
but
that was in the
it
mall.
makes sense. It
Right.
makes sense, really.
Right, and then later on, because Jason got out of the biz, I wound up getting the maintenance schedule for Black Mamba.
Yeah.
And now since, obviously, I've rebuilt
Yeah.
whole sections. He's moved the park out of a mall.
Yeah, yeah. We could talk about Mamba a little bit later
Because of COVID,
in your
you know. Well, I just wanted to
story.
throw that in the timeline is all.
Yeah.
But
I want to take
yeah, 'cause
a
you got
break here
extremes,
from
yeah.
skate park talk,
Yeah, right.
just to shoot something out there, because we're like a half hour in,
Yeah, right.
and I thought it would be just for podcast flow.
Sure.
Maybe one day, half hour, and I could do an ad read here when I have a sponsor. But I thought we could do something, talk about something different briefly,
Sure.
and then we'll come back to the skate park stuff.
Okay.
So I wanted to ask you, especially because you've been around,
Right.
what's the best advice someone's ever given you?
Wow, the best advice. See, these are those questions you throw out there that they need some thought. Though, maybe.
I know.
The best advice.
Well, it's different if you think about it. You know, you could this, that, and that, and the other thing. But if I just pop it on you, you might be able to think of it something really,
really off the cuff. Yeah, like keep the rubber side down.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Like for me, like I don't know if I have like a singular moment of advice.
Yeah.
But when I started the skate park, Jaden's dad, Jeff,
Right.
like he taught me so many things.
Oh, without a doubt.
And it's like there's not a singular piece of advice, but it was like almost like a framework for how to function
right.
In a business sense, but all that applies to the real world.
Right.
So I don't think a lot of people have a moment where someone was like, hey, you know,
yeah,
do X.
See, for me, I don't know. For me, finding my roofing career, I think, was a turning point in my life, anyways. Because I was like in high school, not doing much at the time. You know how your counselor's always like, "What are you gonna do with your life?"
Yeah.
You know, and you're just like, I don't know. I want to rock. But
of course.
You know, but yeah, then when I got the roofing career going, then I was like, well, now I can make some money with this, you know.
Yeah.
But for me, I guess the best advice would just be like honesty is always the best policy.
I
you know, I don't know.
That makes sense. You are one of the most honest people I think I've known.
Yeah, to a point where it doesn't help me sometimes though. People used to say that to me about my roofing because I'm so honest. Like you go up and look at a roof and you're like, well, there's nothing wrong with this roof. So you can't come down and tell some old lady that, yeah, your roof is shot. Like, I really need to tear it off. Well, what's that going to cost? And you're just some bullshitter blowing smoke up her fanny, and that's not the right way to be.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I never made a lot of money due to that, you know?
Yeah. In my tenure having this business, there's only been a small handful of people that I've, like, given a key and told here's the alarm combination, and you go do your thing, and like you were up there, you know, and it wasn't even like I didn't even think about it. I was like, what's Zippy gonna do? You know, Zippy like
he's gonna come in here, he's gonna get right to work.
You're one of those dudes where like if shit hit the fan and my back is up against the wall and I needed something, it's like Zippy's your guy.
Well, that's cool. I appreciate that. Yeah,
100%, dude.
I do. I keep my phone right by my side all the time,
just in case I call.
Well, my kids too. You know, I don't know. You never know who's going to call. Anybody could call.
You text
Need gas, a ride.
Call someone in the middle of the night. They're like, I'm sleeping.
My truck's in a ditch.
Yeah, totally.
Whatever. But, yeah.
One more, and we'll go back to skate park talk.
I was trying to think of more other things, too, but, yeah.
It seems like, I think I don't know if I even met your wife. Maybe once or twice.
Yeah, I think, she's been here.
It seems like you have a really great relationship.
Oh, it's a phenomenal relationship.
You've been married for a long time.
Very long time.
And it's almost like rare to hear people who have been together that long. And like, you always hear, it's always the same tropes of like, she's, what a pain in
the old ball and chain.
Yeah. And I have never heard you say anything other than amazingly positive things about your wife.
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah.
So like,
for sure, because like, well, her and I got through some tough times when we were young.
Okay.
You know,
together.
Yeah, I met her in 82, you know. Yeah.
And how long you been together?
Right? 82. And then, well, that's when we met. So pretty much that's when we started dating is when I met by that. That's in 82. So in my opinion, we got married there, really, because there's no screwing around on each other, like things like that. So then in 86 is when we got married.
Okay. So, I wasn't born yet.
So, so then 90 is when my firstborn, Chris, was 90. Right.
Okay, so you have been married 39 years.
It's been a while, yeah.
And you have been together for 40
something.
So yeah, 40 something. Yeah.
See, we actually
she's over. She's going. It's 45. God damn it.
I know, right? He's always remember. I always remember it otherwise, but yeah,
It's so
you put somebody on the
yeah,
spot and dates
yeah.
start going out the back door. But yeah,
It's so refreshing because you like it just seems like you have a positive relationship and you just like I said you never hear that. It's always like the old ball and train or she's a pain in the ass or oh my god. It's like this eye rolling thing and you like.
well, her and I were such good friends too.
That's
I
awesome.
mean, you know, I don't know if you'd say friends with benefits, but we were such good
Yeah.
friends. You know what I mean? So
what is it? What
so then we got
do you guys
86.
have
Uh,
that other people don't?
I don't know. The don't go to bed mad is a good one really because it's not gonna walking out the door is not gonna solve anything. You know.
Yeah.
You got to fix it right away. Really. You know.
So is that
I don't
like
know.
what you're saying? Sounds like you try to be present in your relationship.
Exactly right. Yeah. Keep
Okay.
the communication line.
Yeah, because a
open.
lot of people grow to
you
be
know.
very distant
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
relationships.
Well, look at phones today. People
Yeah.
aren't even present in a conversation.
No.
Most of the time. You know, because like we were saying, then the dates there. My second son Corey was born in '96.
Okay.
So see that puts it to where he was also a part of the skate parks and hanging out and like he remembers building the portable ramp. You know. Out there in the back parking lot of East Rochester, the one that was used in
It's
demos,
cool.
you know.
It's cool you brought up the phones because I just started reading this book today, and I read a lot of books about stuff like this because I'm very interested in culture and like what's happening with the kids, and that's kind of like
Yeah.
one of the veins of why I'm doing this podcast is to keep people inspired to ride,
Yeah.
inspired to get their kids to ride, and to get off the phones.
That
and
needs to happen. It does.
the book I'm reading, it's called I think it's called The Extinction of Experience.
Wow.
And the premise of the book is for the most of humanity, or all of it up until about 10 minutes ago, all the experiences we had were embodied experiences. You're there with your body, you feel it, you live it, it's there. In the
Right.
phone world, you're having these experiences that are not embodied. And I got through the first couple, probably the first 2 hours of the book today, and she's talking about how in the digital space, these companies constantly use the term experience,
Right.
like they're selling you an experience, but it's not an embodied
Wow, right.
experience. You know, we've grown to be so to be not present in our own lives. We can't be bored. You know, you go anywhere, you
Yeah.
go at the DMV, everyone's looking at their phone. Like we can't
Right.
be bored for 10 seconds. We can't like it's just and that just
It's
dovetails
bad.
with
It
what
is
you're saying
bad.
about being present in your relationship.
You know, because when my kids were born, we had pagers.
Oh yeah.
So it's like pagers on your hip. A number would hit your phone, and then you got to go find a phone to call the number. And in Rochester, good luck finding a working payphone back
Yeah.
then. You know.
That's really cool because I actually, in my notes I have for this episode, I just wrote at the bottom embodied experience because I wanted to ask you about embodied experiences. And like, it's really cool that we,
Well, there's
Organically
some that say
got
it's
there.
a simulation.
yeah, well,
Life is.
that's a whole nother wormhole we don't have to go down to.
Yeah, that's a big one.
So let's jump back
Yeah.
into the skate park world.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
going to talk about skate parks for maybe another 15 minutes or so.
Right.
Then we'll do some rapid fire questions at the end.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
that'll be it.
Right, that'll be cool.
So you've rebuilt Extremes 2. Eventually that closes. Enter RASP. We talked about
Right.
the timeline a little bit earlier.
Yeah, yeah.
We're saying this is somewhere in 2000, sometime in 2009. RASP comes into existence. There's a new skate park in Rochester. It's going to be built. I believe my understanding is you initially were not part of the build, but you came to be
No.
part of it.
No,
So
and
how
I
did
w-
that happen?
Well, I was always searching, like, where is this going to open? Where is this happening? And I was just driving around looking for spaces, buildings that were,
So you heard about it.
yeah, somewhere I
Through the
heard about
grapevine?
it somehow, yeah.
Okay.
And there was another location that was up the road, University, I think it was at the Fork right there. I think that was a possible spot too.
Yeah, where Blossom splits off.
Yeah. But, I don't know. I don't think anybody had my number or something like that, or I'm not sure how
So
that
tell me you
happened.
just like walked in one day,
I
like
did, yeah. I just walked in and they're
it's
like,
like WWF. The
everybody
song
like turns
hits,
around
Zippy
and
walks
like,
in.
Zippy, yeah. And
Yeah.
it's like, we've been trying to get in touch with you.
Oh, they were trying to talk.
Well, yeah, right, because
Okay.
they wanted to like tap my brain as to how
Yeah.
is this going to happen? How do ramps get framed?
So how far along
know.
were they in their build when you happened to just stumble in?
Well, they were still, I think, in the process of meetings actually, and
Okay.
going over plans and things. I don't know. I don't remember exactly, but then one day we just said, all right, let's order up a bunch of lumber, and it was decided that I was going to lead the framing of it
Okay.
again, and go by plans that somebody else. Because I always didn't want a part of the plans, because my thought was if it's built wrong, it's the plans. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not say how I built it.
And my understanding is,
to their
and
specs say.
we're gonna have Blaze on. Maybe get Ed in here to talk about the RASP days.
Yeah, totally should.
So we can dive into how those ramps were designed and whatnot. But my understanding is they took a couple bikers and said, "Hey, design us the box jumps room or section.
Right.
Get a couple skaters, design us your main street section." And that's my
probably
understanding of how it went. Yeah.
That's probably right. Yeah.
Yeah. So you helped frame out RASP.
Yeah, and that was another big job, though.
Yeah.
Obviously, like when you shifted everything around. Thankfully, it was all built out of drywall screws. That was just something I always did. Because my thought was, if you got to replace all this plywood, you got to get it up and fix it and put it back down. And to me, just the nail idea was not cool because you can't take nothing apart.
Would they all use was Extremes 1 and 2 built with screws as well?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely screws.
We're going to talk about
Well,
that in a bit.
transitions. You know the system. Transitions
Yeah.
were the nails quick, just put it together fast, and then back it up with a screw.
Yeah.
So stuff don't come apart. But all the deck boards, all screws.
Yeah.
Hardboard screws.
Every job I've ever had,
Like,
I've been able to find better and more efficient ways to do everything than all the people that ever worked above me or managed me,
yeah.
but not in your ramp building.
No,
Yeah.
well, it winds up being backbreaking work. I mean,
Wait,
there's people that had
let's just-
screws that get
yeah.
fed in nowadays. Have you seen
Let's
those?
just go there and talk about the ramp building technique. This whole premise of building everything in 4-foot sections.
Right.
So with your 2 3/4 inch walls, every 2x4 is 46.5. Did you
Yes.
come up with that?
Right. That was another dream pretty
Yeah.
much at night when it's like, how are we going to do this? Well,
Yeah.
sheets are 4x8. So let's try to keep everything 4x8. So, don't span across the transitions with
Obviously,
2x4s on an 8. You got to go to a 2x6 if you're going to do that.
I mean, it is
Yeah.
pretty intuitive to have done it that way.
Because then, I'm sorry, then
Yeah.
the transitions can get screwed together too, so that all the transitions are screwed together before the plywood goes
Yeah.
on. And then everything lands, boom, 8 foot, 12 foot.
It's it's genius. It's so smart to do this 4-foot sections. It all
Right.
comes together. Part of the reason
Just
I even started Breaking
simple,
Free
though.
is because I knew that method you developed was how these ramps were built. So I
Right.
knew I could disassemble this stuff, and
and have good sheets all
I'll probably
over.
clip this out and show I had the whole section by the windows was just transitions stacked up.
Oh my
all the
gosh,
4-foot
yes.
sections. We stripped the whole place out. It was all just
Yeah.
pieces of ramp in 4-foot sections with
Right.
the radius labeled on the side, and then piles of plywood, piles of cut plywood. And
Right,
from
all
that,
full
like
sheets.
an erector set,
Yep.
we started to piece the place back together.
Yes.
And had this been nailed together, there was no Breaking Free. Had
No,
that method
no,
not happened,
right.
I would have never done it.
Right.
I knew the workload would be cut, in half by the method.
My God, the bowl, the trouble you went through to
Yeah,
go
dude,
and
oh
get
my
the
God.
bowl from, what was it, Syracuse?
Syracuse, yeah.
right?
All the repairs I've done on the
Like,
bull.
had to have a forklift.
Yeah,
Like
when we raised up
Dude.
Zippy sunken in
the living
room.
Yeah, right.
just like cutting back 2 feet with the cat's paw, ripping out all the nails,
Nails and
cutting back a
nails,
foot on the
right.
bottom layer. Oh
Yeah.
my God.
Yeah.
And
Like it's that type of stuff that makes you go, what am I doing this for? Like,
dude,
why
so
am I even
much.
involved, right? Yeah.
And like, I rebuilt the peninsula, the side around the peninsula. We did
Right.
the your sunken in living room,
Right.
the 8-foot. Like when we moved that 8-foot, I literally, like, this is super dangerous.
Right.
Aaron went under the 8-foot sections, and this is in Syracuse, and he
Yeah.
put some pressure on it, and I went whirr with the circular saw inside of it.
Quickly.
It almost fell on top of
Yeah,
me.
the weight of the thing.
And we
is
just literally
intense.
just cut that thing in half. So when we threw it all together, and shout out to my friend Evan McCool,
Well, I was gonna say.
he helped do all the patchwork. Like you,
Yeah.
like we
Well,
brought.
Kimmler was genius in how he took it apart too.
Yeah, that was
Remember
smart.
that?
Yeah.
Layered the layers back so I could fix it or whatever.
We kind of skipped ahead with that to get to the
We
bowl.
did just jump.
But yeah, the bowl.
Like I was surprised you even took that on. What a day and
I mean, it was just
a
so
week,
good.
right? Well, yeah, because it's beautiful where it's sitting right now.
Yeah, I mean that bowl went through hell to get here. It nailed together. Every day we moved stuff. It rained.
Yeah.
Rolled over there, sunk. Everything's creaking. Remember we first put that together? People start riding, it's creaking. It's
Yeah.
making all this
Settling
noise.
in,
It's
yeah.
settling. Yeah. Oh my god.
But there's shims
No-
under. Remember all the shims?
yeah, nothing's
'Cause I had to
square,
Get, I
it's-
had
yeah.
to get the floor sitting square. Remember that?
Oh, dude.
I sent you that picture actually with the
Yeah.
where I tagged it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But that's
If
see,
you-
I,
if-
I,
if you
I
could
always
read
had a
this, you're
habit
too
of
high.
tagging. Right, exactly. The top of the vert wall. Yeah.
I'll tell that story right now.
I always had a habit of tagging stuff,
Yeah.
and then when I come across stuff, say Black Mamba, I'll be like, "No way! I've known you for 10 years now,
Yeah.
and where'd the time go?" You know?
So when we were tearing apart the ramps at Rasp,
Right?
they had that vert wall in the back corner.
Yeah.
That thing was huge. How tall is that thing? Gigantic, dude.
That was up over the cement
Yeah,
wall.
huge.
There. What was it?
So,
16 feet. At
That was
least,
so
right?
scary. We like brought over the platform
Yeah. I
and then
remember
put like
building it.
ladders on the platform and ladders on top of that thing.
Yes.
And I'm up there. I'm unscrewing
As
these
soon as you get the
giant
last
3/4
screw out,
sheets.
yeah.
And when you get to the very top of this enormous vert wall, the very top 2x4,
Right.
it says, "If you could read this, you're too
You're
high.
too high, right?
Zippy."
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I was like, "You son of a
Oh, man.
bitch."
Well, that's because kids used to say, "Oh, I can go right to the top of that vert wall, no problem." I'd be like, "Well, what does it say up there?" Yeah,
That's amazing, dude.
just stupid shit they used to have me put on.
All right, so let's loop back around. You show up. Rast was building a skate park. You end up being, I don't know, lead framer.
yeah,
You're working
right.
with Tony Britt to build that
Yep,
place.
exactly right.
Yeah, you build Rasp.
We were literally putting transitions together and belt sanding
Oh,
them
yeah.
so that there's perfect. Like
Yeah.
when stuff is done, it's perfect.
Yeah.
I think that's why this place was so smooth for so long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like we talked about the Red Bull ramps, how they're still around.
Yeah.
One layer of plywood on them, and that was
Those
it.
are a kink, yeah.
Right.
All right, so
Go ahead,
then
I interrupted your.
you helped build Rasp. Rasp is around from 2000. They opened in 2000, May of 2010, I believe. Closed in August of 16.
I think you might
Yeah,
be right.
yeah.
Yeah. Because then there wasn't much of a void.
No, because I
you
was
were down.
from the day we closed. I was in here tearing ramps
Right.
apart.
Time to
And
shift it.
I knew about you,
Right.
but my budget was like literally zero.
Thin. Right.
And I waited until the bowl was here because I was like,
Right.
I could figure out this stuff, but the bowl I need.
That was
the master.
challenging. Yeah.
So when
was
and I think you
challenging.
probably reached out to me and I said like, listen, when I get this bowl here, like
Right.
that's you.
Let's do it. Yeah.
And when we got the bowl here, I was like, it's going there. We rolled it into place with all the dollies and maybe get 10 people
Yeah,
getting that
10
thing inside
people
the
on it
door,
just to
rolled
shift
it all
2
over
feet.
there.
Yeah, it was insane.
And then I was like, all right, make it work. And then you made it all work.
Wow, yeah.
I said, as I said earlier, my buddy Evan McCool, he helped do all the patchwork. In hindsight, or not in hindsight.
Because it wasn't the same layout.
No, of
Right.
course.
I never wrote it when it was in cranks.
Oh, really?
No,
It's much better here.
I never wrote cranks at all. I rolled through there and go, hey, I could frame some ramps with you guys. I got some tools. And they're like, oh, we got our guys.
The bowl
Woodward guys.
at
I
Cranks, it
guess
was
they
much
had.
bigger. It was much more spaced out. You had to go a lot faster to utilize it.
Mhm.
It was definitely a bit like a little more advanced.
Right.
But it was with raw wood, it was more sticky and fun in that regard. So I think our layout is much funner.
We used to
but
ride 'em.
the masonite is slippery.
Yeah, we used to ride them every day. We used to tell Wilmot, we have to test these every day at lunch. And we get an hour lunch and ride every day.
Nice.
It was a cool part of the whole gig, too. Yeah. Yeah.
One of the cool things, this reminded me because I just brought up my buddy Evan McCool,
Right.
who helped with the bowl. One of the really interesting things when I started the skate park, or at least started to try to start the skate park, is it really showed me who was my friends.
Right. That's true, too.
So there were people like Evan, who I didn't know who the guy was, never seen him before in my life.
Right.
I had a BFS volunteer Facebook page that people could join up, and I was like, hey, I'm gonna be here at this time. I need, and he joined it and he showed up, and I think he was unemployed at the time, and he came a lot
Just did some
and
hours.
did a ton of that little monotonous kind of patchwork.
Yep.
All
Yep.
these people that till this day, some people I don't talk to anymore because life progresses.
That happens. Yeah.
Some people I still do, but I still reach out to them. Usually every December if we're still having our holiday party and say, hey, like, you're always welcome at the BFS holiday party.
For sure. Right.
While there were other people who I thought were my friends
Yeah.
who did not come to help. They did not raise a finger. They didn't do anything for me.
Right.
And for all the people that did help, when I opened, I sat down with every single person and I was like, okay, you came here a lot. I got you this entire winter. The winter pass is the equivalent of $450. So
Exactly
I got you,
right.
I got you for a
We
year.
used to call that ride time, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny. Some people would come in and be like upset, like, "Oh, I got to pay." It's like, of course you have to pay. Everyone fucking.
Right.
Sorry.
Everyone needs
pays.
to pay, or this place
Like,
ain't gonna
if
exist.
you wanted to ride here for free,
Yeah.
you could have showed up and you could have grabbed a screw gun and you could have helped me.
Could have drove a couple thousand screws.
But if you didn't,
Yeah.
you don't get to ride for free.
Yeah.
And some of those,
Yeah, that happens in life in general, though. You know.
I mean, you try to pay me. Sometimes I take your money.
Yeah. 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 Well, no, because I'm like, here, dude. I'm all about keeping the place here.
Well, that's the thing. The people that really understand how challenging it is to run a skate park, they're going to show up and like your true friend. Like when I opened the park, I had friends from Jersey come up to see me and they're like, no, we're paying you.
Right.
Like your friends will want to support you
That's
every
right.
way possible. They'll support you monetarily by spending money at your business. They'll support you by sharing your business on social media. They can support me by being on our Patreon, give me $5 or $10 a month to help keep the skate park open.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the real people will support you.
For sure. I know I keep forgetting should we even be looking at the camera? Like, hey, but I keep looking at what you're saying. But
Yeah.
there's some people starting to comment.
Yeah,
now?
Blaze is in the chat.
Oh,
and a disc golf friend of mine.
I was gonna say Blaze is sitting out there on the couch probably.
Right. It's funny, man. When push comes to shove, it really shows you. And I tell you, ramp building is not easy.
No,
it's backbreaking.
It's very backbreaking.
It's terrible. Like I'm not afraid to work.
Grueling, right.
I can go to the welding shop and I can work all day. It ain't no thing.
Right.
But when you're working on ramps, you're
Right.
either on your knees or you're completely bent over. It's really, really rough. So for all the people that came, Marcus and Nick Terabasi and Evan, I said, and you and Aaron, Kevin Willard, Raphael, there's so many people that showed up and like they're the reason that this is still here.
Moving plywood, whatever it took, yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah. Yeah, this amount of screws you wind up driving. It just And then if you slip off the tip of a screw, you run that sucker right into your finger.
Into your goddamn finger.
So now you're like, oh. Wrap some electric tape around it and keep going.
So here, you helped me put together the bowl.
Right.
I'm sure some other odds and ends.
Odd object
I brought you in on some projects. Well,
transitions over there.
When I have to do projects, what I typically do is I do the whole tear out.
Right, yeah.
And I get it all ready to build. Yeah. And then I call you and I'm like, I don't need, like, you're old. I appreciate you. I respect you.
Yeah.
I'm not going to pay you to tear out the ramps. Like, I'll sacrifice my back and my knees. And then I bring you in like, all right.
Right.
Get the ramp master.
You got to say older. You're older.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
I'm not old yet. I'm older.
Yeah, older. Yeah.
You would think the wiser comes with that too, but not always. But yeah, like the back of the big box jump, we you
helped me with all the box jumps.
That out.
Both the landings. Yeah.
It was like a bank landing.
And we built the rollers that were terrible.
And tore them out and did them again.
Yeah, those were horrible. Yeah.
Same thing with the bridge. Didn't we do the bridge twice?
We did the bridge.
See, that was something Ed and Tony were never like, oh, we're never.
I want to level out the
two-floor.
bridge.
They didn't want to do a two-floor thing, you know.
The bridge. I remember the bridge being. I remember that one was a fun project, building the bridge.
Yeah. Yeah, because we did all the Ticos in there and everything too, 12-inch on center.
Okay, so since I've been around, you're doing ramp work over in Syracuse at Black Mamba.
Right. Yeah.
Which you mentioned.
He had to move out of the mall.
Jason from Extremes helped build the first Black Mamba that was in the mall, and then they moved to LePage.
Yeah,
and then you came in.
Right, yeah.
Which is such a crazy small world that now you're rebuilding ramps that Jason built when Jason helped you build ramps when you started Extremes back in. Right. What a small world.
Right. Well, you just you go along and you learn things as you're going, and if you're working on a team, then everybody's learning the process.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then Jason was able to get his father in on a lot of things like that, coming in for maintenance and stuff like that. I mean, we always had a dream that it was going to really take us somewhere, honestly. Like, oh, we're just going to go travel the country building ramps.
Yeah.
But you push the idea out there and nobody really grabs onto
Yeah, there's
it.
like 4 people in the world that do
I
that.
think Scott might have been the only one who grabbed onto the idea. Yeah, I'll have him come and frame this. But then when it came time to like do the maintenance and this was before COVID. See, COVID's what killed the Black Mamba in the mall.
I mean, killed
Killed him.
Still killing everyone.
Because they said you can't he had his own entrance. It was 2 floors. He could have let people in from his own entrance.
Yeah.
They didn't have to go in the mall hallway or nothing.
Yeah.
And he's like, I want to go on the roof and change the filters into HEPA filters so I'm compliant.
Yeah.
He wanted to jump through all the hoops. And they still said, no, we're not letting people in. And go, well, then I'm not giving you, how the hell am I going to pay you next month,
Yeah.
So then it came like, okay, and that was when I was stepping away from roofing a little.
Yeah.
I was doing pallets, building pallets.
Okay.
And they kept wanting more and more pallets. Well, if you can't do 150 pallets in an 8-hour day, then I guess you got to come in an extra hour. So then you come in an extra hour, you do 150 pallets. Well, now they want 180 pallets. So it wound up being I'm doing 10-hour days, fixing 200 pallets a day. That's what it wound up being. So I'm like, well, this is crazy. I mean, it kept me busy. I like to be fit, keep moving. The minute you get still, that's when you're going to get decrepit,
Yeah, 100%.
Totally. So like I called him. I'm like, dude, how is this COVID treating you? He goes, dude, I'm screwed. I'm done. I'm going to have to fold. And I go, well, what if you moved it? Look for a building. We'll just move it. He goes, really? You think you want to do that? I'm like, well, no, it's not something I want to do.
Yeah.
Because I know the work involved. But being a roofer, you got used to back pain.
Yeah.
Really. So then I just said, all right, man, I'll give the pallet company my 2 weeks, and I'll be there. And that's how that went down.
There can't be too many people
Rented trucks.
who have moved to skate parks.
It wasn't fun, really. It wasn't fun at all. But then once we got it up, and see, he had the same thing you have with the trucker lanes coming into the building, but we didn't want to frame over it. So it's like, well, what are we going to do with that trucker lane?
Yeah, the mini ramp in it.
So we put the mini ramp down in there. And
That's so cool.
It was all pitched, though. When I got down in there, I'm like, oh, shit, nothing's level. Like, because there's drains.
Yeah, of course.
So everything had to be shimmed to get so flush with that cement, And then we put a mini in, which he never had either because of extra transitions.
Yeah, the mini's the best.
He had 2 floors of stuff at the other building. So
I heard that the second or the downstairs was like never open.
no, it was
It's
only
so weird.
special people, like only VIP type
Yeah, why
people
not
that
just
were
let
allowed.
people ride it? It's so bizarre.
Because I don't think we ever got cameras down there like
Who
you really
cares?
wanted,
Why would you have 2 levels of skate park to not
Yeah.
let people ride it?
I know
That's the
because it was cool
weirdest-
down there
yeah.
too. You're right.
Weird.
You're right. I did have a nice pyramid down there where you just would hit the corner of it.
All right, so
It's like
post-COVID,
half a pyramid.
last 4 or 5 years, you are still doing ramp work out there in Syracuse for Black Mamba?
No, that's all done now. He's been talking to. He wants to sell it. Is what I've been.
I'm saying, you've been saying in the last 3 years, you're intermittently out there. You built the box jumps, took apart the box jumps, built some other stuff. I've had you here a couple times for
Built
ramp
the
stuff, but
resi.
you're still keeping busy
People like
doing
the
little ramp
resis.
work here and there.
Yeah, and I still keep busy with my own thing here and there. I'm not working full time crazy anymore.
Yeah.
Part time, whatever.
Yeah.
I kind of seem to float around with the wind, and it always leads me in the right place. Isn't it weird how when you need something, somebody will walk through the door? Like if you're in the moment and you believe that this is God's will to build this place,
Yeah.
then when you need something, say you go, man, I really need somebody to come in and weld these copings, and all of a sudden a welder walks through the door. I mean, this is the way it seems everything had always happened with me, even extremes. It's
You're a good guy.
They would walk through and go, oh, hey, dude, whoa,
You're a nice guy.
Well, I
We've established that you're honest.
I appreciate
So like those
that.
I feel like those types of opportunities fall in your lap, or much. Or when you walk in the door and say, "Hey, I can help you." People are more likely to believe you, or more likely to engage with you,
Right.
other than people who may be more manipulative. Because not everyone in the history of skate parks in Rochester was quite as honorable. There's definitely been some nefarious characters and some questionable
I think I
behaviors.
might have got cranks if I'd have got there sooner. It seemed
Yeah.
like because once I got there and I realized it was happening in that building,
Yeah.
I walked in. It was before there was any wood there or anything. Oh, we got guys coming already. I was just like, damn. I always felt like I just missed that
Yeah.
one because to build a raised level place would be mind blowing.
I don't
But
think.
see, they didn't want screws. They wanted all nails. So just nail the thing together. I don't know.
Well, I think if you're building it just for bikes, then I think you can get away with nails.
Right, just plywood.
But to your Rays comment, I think this, well, Rochester is certainly too close to Cleveland to do something like Rays.
Kind of.
Syracuse is pushing it.
Right.
The problem is Rays is like such a regional destination. People take day trips, weekend trips there. Like people every weekend, people from Rochester are there.
Well, the same way somebody would go skiing, say.
Exactly.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah.
Rays Mountain Bike Park is much closer to a ski resort than it is to a skate park.
Right.
And I think anyone who tried to build something like Rays within 5 hours of Rays is foolish.
That was something I'd always say to these people that I was building for too. Just on my word, I won't build any park in your location.
Yeah.
In other words, Rochester. I said that to Jason. I think I've said that to Rasp.
Yeah.
I might have said that to you even. You know, so I always felt like, okay, Syracuse is far enough away, Buffalo's far enough away. But in the scope of places like Rays, you probably need to get to another state.
I think if you were to open something like Rays and you can get into the tri-state area, which is New York, Connecticut, New Jersey, Pennsylvania,
a gold building like he found
if you could manage to get a big enough space, the thing about Rays is like it's so unique. The building can be anywhere. You don't need to have a good location, right? So that makes the cost per square foot much cheaper. But if you could be within a day trip of New York City, of Boston, of DC, of Philly, Baltimore, like if you can get somewhere in like central PA, Allentown, Bethlehem, somewhere around there, and you built something like Rays, I think you could absolutely kill it.
Well, Woodward's been around for how long?
Yeah.
Jeez, 20-some years probably.
There's definitely more money in like a bike park if you can get the location. But it has to be big. Like the thing about Rays is it's like 150,000 square feet. It's like a ski slope.
And he must own that building though.
No, they rent. Right,
but like dirt cheap rent must be because like there's holes in the roof.
I'm not
You're dealing
sure
with all that too.
I can get Paul on here. And
you know, Paul's I've never met Paul.
Paul's the
man.
man.
He's like a super cool dude, but he seems like a guy like me who's just loves to build stuff, loves to ride. You know,
Paul Rad is the man.
Has he been around since the beginning?
I don't think so.
I don't think so either.
So we're
totally
the
going
topic
off
is gonna be a little bit out here, but in the world of BMX, right? I think BMX culture kind of isn't great right now.
Right.
But there's this like underlying layer of like people who really care and really do stuff for their local scene and community. And those are the people that the old school BMX, the old school, like when you see someone on a bike, you're like, oh my God, we're friends. You ride, I ride.
Yeah, right.
Like the dude where like you could hit him up on Instagram or Facebook or whatever and say, I'm trying to come to town. All right, this is the cheap hotel.
Right.
This is the good food spot. Here's the spots. Here's this kid's number. He's always riding the street.
Right.
Paul Rad is one of those dudes in Cleveland who's doing that. Like there's like that. I would say I'm one of those people. I've been one of those people for a long time.
Yeah.
And like there's Chuck out in Chuck from Daily Grind.
Right.
Matt Smith was down in Allentown. He does he's out in Albany now. But there are these people that like regardless of where they go or what they do, like you ride, we're homies.
Yeah.
Those people are like keep the sport alive.
It's kind of like motorcycle riders. Well, it used to be that way.
Yeah.
You ride by, hey.
Yeah.
You know, now the rocket, what do you call them?
Crotch rockets.
Yeah, I was going to say I wanted to find the proper term, but crotch rocket guys won't wave to Harley guys, and Harley guys ain't going to wave to crotch rocket guys. Yeah. It's like, that's bull. We're all on motorcycles.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like the Jeep people wave at each other, right?
All right, let me give you a couple of questions about the skate parks, and then we're going to do a rapid fire, and then we'll be out of here.
Yeah.
So you've been involved with a lot of skate parks. So the first question is...
30 years, I guess it is now. Yeah.
Is your favorite skate park one of the ones you've built?
Wow.
Because the question is, what's your favorite skate park? But first I want to know is, like, did you build your favorite skate park?
Man, I'd have to say, honestly, the favorite would have to be, and I think a lot of people probably go there, is to the East Rochester Extremes, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
That was your favorite?
Yeah. I think
and you built it?
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really cool.
It was always like you had a place to ride because you built it, you know what I mean? I always thought I should open up my own skate park, but I knew it was a risky endeavor.
Yeah.
Right, don't do that.
of all of the skate parks in Rochester over all the years, all the ones we've talked about, if you could get one session in on any of the ones that are gone,
Oh wow.
which is the one you'd love to be? Give me 1 hour back there. Take me back. Take me back.
Oh man.
Would it be Extremes too?
I'd have to say you'd probably have to go to Extremes 1 because it was so stretched out and so new. And the roll-ins, it had the foam pit.
Yeah.
It had just big ideas.
Yeah.
Like people, when they came in and saw us building stuff so big, they were just like, what are you guys doing? Like even East Rochester, everything was huge, right?
Yeah.
So
It's funny. People come here
I
and
don't know.
they think the ramps are, because like people go to like the new Parrington skate park, right? And then they'll come here and they go, wow, your ramps are pretty big. And I'm like, yeah, I mean, on average, I'm probably about 5 feet, 4 or 5 feet.
is all little stuff.
Yeah. I was
though,
like,
so-
you guys don't know, like in the
Like that-
early 2000s, everything was big.
Right,
dude.
that's the quarter you still have is a 7-footer.
Yeah, the
back
7
there.
footer. Yeah.
And that used to be a rest along the whole wall.
That was a big ramp. Yeah, for
where,
sure.
Where Doyle jumped from that all the way over to the mini.
Yeah.
I think there's still photos of that somewhere.
Well, Jaden went from the 7-foot wall road 180 onto the deck of the extension on the mini ramp. That was sick.
Insane. Or Jaden jumped out
So
of
the mini ramp was 4 and 7,
jumped out of the
or 4 and 6.
rafters into the
Yeah, that was
roll.
it. I was here.
Yeah, I know. That's what I'm saying. What was 4 to 6?
The Spine Mini
Yeah.
at RASP
Right.
was 4 foot, and then was it 6 foot or 7 foot?
Man, I don't know. I almost think it was 6 foot. I think the spine in the middle.
Yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, because we cut down the spine was
it got cut down after.
was terrifying. I helped
Right.
Tony do that. Yeah, that was like my first time I ever worked on
So
ramps.
you cut it down to a deck spine.
Yes,
basically.
because it was a coping spine, dude.
But we didn't-
6 foot
we didn't-
double coping spine, terrifying.
We didn't make a roller next to it though. Like
No,
I
no.
always wanted
Oop.
to pass by roller.
Yeah, that would have been great.
You know,
yeah.
like why not, right? Like I did a backyard ramp for a guy once where I'd put a roller like that.
There was a park that just closed
Pressure
in
treated.
Cleveland called TriStar, and they had a really cool either 3 or 4 foot, maybe 3.5 foot spine mini, and on either side of the spine had rollers on both sides. It looked really cool.
Right, so that you could like get by fast.
I could be wrong about that.
No, but see, that's so you could ride by quick and not do the spine.
All right, you ready for some rapid fire questions?
Yeah, maybe.
I'll give you like 10 seconds. Yeah, all right. What was your first bike or your first like BMX bike? Like
Well,
the one
see,
that, yeah.
The one that I met those dudes at Spinners with, really. It was a freaking craziest bike. It was a Skyway.
Okay.
Yeah, Skyway that I bought, and it was old Skyway. Some guy sold it to me out of his trunk. This was like before Craigslist and all that. I don't even know where I got the dude's number, but he met me in a parking lot and says, "Yeah, here I bought this car, and this was in the trunk." You know?
He's like, yeah, just give me a handy. You could have this bike.
Yeah, right. Not sold. So
Okay,
I moved
Skyway.
down the road, but it was a Skyway. And then when I got to meet with all those dudes, and they rode way, way better than I could ever
Yeah.
think. Like that dude Tony could ride a half pipe like you wouldn't believe. But they said to me that, hey, that's got the Peregrine rims.
Yeah,
I'm
Peregrine, yeah.
like, no way. But I wound up getting rid of that bike, and it's probably a collectible.
Oh, for sure.
You know, but see, I was
Big money.
I was silly. I put that bike down and then go to Walmart and buy a mongoose.
Oh, jeez.
Then I show up in the next
funny
week
'cause
with that, and they're like, "What is that?" Like,
Jimmy,
you're gonna get killed.
Jimmy, who was here last week, was saying the first time he met you, he's like, dude, this guy showed up to
Right.
Spinners and he's like sending these ramps on like a
Like,
Walmart. Like,
sending
we
it.
thought this guy's going to die.
Right? That's what they said to me. Like, dude, you're trying to kill yourself.
That's amazing.
So then I parked this mongoose finally, and I go to Dick's and buy a damn Diamondback.
Okay.
And I thought that was the greatest thing, and it really wasn't either.
No.
I think it's when I finally landed on a Haro that I had a
Okay.
solid bike. Because
What
I
a-
remember Jimmy saying he loves that. What was it? A T3 or something? Or no, a Sta?
Oh, STA.
STA,
Standard
standard,
STA.
right? And
Yeah.
those, I remember that's what those guys rode back then.
Mhm.
I mean, but that's those fat frames back in the day, like bomb-proof.
Yeah, beefy
You know what I mean?
stuff. Yeah.
So when I got my Haro, that's the way I felt about that.
Yeah.
You know, because I would look up to like Mura and stuff like that.
Word on the street is Harrow is either going out of business or ending their BMX program, which is crazy because like they were a BMX only brand.
That's what I say. The guy who owns the company, his name is Bob Haro, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right. See,
Okay.
and that's how.
Next question. Favorite rider?
See, I'm gonna go to Mura probably.
Mura?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mura, yeah, because I'm still wearing DC sneakers
Okay.
too. Yeah.
Who is your favorite local rider over the
Local.
years?
Wow. There's been a lot coming
Yeah.
up because of the parks that I've been involved with that we've had pros now coming out of Rochester.
The question should be, who's
You
your
know?
favorite rider and why is it Eddie Nicoletta?
Huh. Who's my favorite? Oh man, wow. That's a damn good question, honestly.
It doesn't have to be a biker too. It could be, like a skater, Because last podcast, Jimmy was saying that Dave Berardi was just killing it back in the day.
Oh my gosh, you wouldn't believe it.
Yeah.
Yeah, he used to jump. He'd come in cowboy boots and just skate
That's
the shit out of the
badass.
place, just with a cowboy hat on too, because those guys used to go anywhere to sell a job too.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
tents and stuff. Yeah, he rolled his ankle, I think, one day, or bonked his head or something, jumping over that railing
Jeez.
from the skate park up over the railing over to where the video games were.
All right, well, let me rephrase the
Like,
question. What is the most
BMX,
most
local-
talented local rider you've seen? Like who's out of all the you've been riding in Rochester for a really long time. Who's a
Who
guy that
came-
you see him ride and you're just like, what the?
Well, that would have to be Dan Collar, honestly.
Little Dan?
Little
Okay.
Dan, yeah, and you don't call him Little Dan anymore.
No.
Just Dan Collar. Yeah, but for him to come up the way he did, and Jason was always like coaching him, like, you got that. Come on, don't be a pansy ass, So he was being pushed to make shit happen, So it was cool, yeah.
Okay.
Ride for kink the way he did and everything. Yeah.
What's something that these action sports have taught you?
That pain is only temporary.
Yeah. I guess the same with the roofing, right?
Yeah. Yeah, when you hit your hand with a
Yeah.
thumb with a finger with a hammer, yeah.
So
yeah.
in these, you've been around BMX for a really long time, or skateboarding.
Yeah.
A lot of trends come and go.
It's
What's-
funny because I remember the
Jimmy.
Yeah, the
what's,
Jimmy
yeah,
one.
what's
Yeah,
the
that
what's the
was-
worst trend
that's
you can recall
dude,
in all
that's
your
gotta be
years at the
it,
skate
though.
park?
That's got to be it. It's got to be
The girl
damn
pants?
Girl pants. Yeah, I couldn't.
Guilty
I
as
could not
charged.
believe that. Like I never
Yeah.
partook in any of that. Like
Okay.
like my pants are getting caught in my chain and shit still today because I don't cuff them up enough. I don't wear tight
Yeah.
enough cuffs. You know what I mean? A lot of guys will roll their pants up so it don't get caught
Yeah.
in the chain. Because when you're jumping over something, you don't. That's the last
Yeah,
thing
of
you
course.
want is getting that pant leg caught.
Well, before I rode
And that's how
BMX,
skinny jeans I think happen.
yeah, 100%.
To keep your pants out of the, like you said something about the chain guard,
Yeah,
like how you showed up at a skate park with the chain guard still on, or was that you?
yeah. The
Or was
first
that
time
a
I
different
ever,
story?
the first time my 2000 Harrow shredder, which
Right.
I saw someone on Facebook Marketplace is selling my exact first bike out in Batavia, and I'm like, I really
You
want to
should
buy it.
buy it, yeah.
And yeah, I had my chain guard still, like stupid plastic chain guard, and all the reflectors still on the bike. Yeah, yeah.
I remember when I was helping Scott put kinks together.
Yeah.
You wanted to make sure all that stuff was on there because it has to be sold the way it's has all the chain guard on it, has the proper
Yeah, of course,
brakes,
yeah.
all that stuff has to be dialed. If the kid takes the chain guard off, that's his prerogative.
Yeah. So before I rode BMX, I was like mall metal. I wore the huge baggy pants, which are apparently popular again.
The ones where you can stick a whole iPad in the back pocket.
Yeah, I wore those, dude. Hang out
Yeah.
at the mall Friday night. I had the 400 bracelets, going to Hot Topic, blue hair. I did it, dude.
Yeah, no lie. See,
And then you start riding BMX, and you cannot ride baggy pants. So that's how I started
Right.
wearing Dickies.
There's no
and
way,
then
right.
2 years later, I'm in, like as you said, the worst trend in BMX. 2 years later,
Well, I used to
I'm wearing
wear
my
all-
girlfriend's pants.
Right, I used to wear all the pads though, the
Yeah.
shin guards, the knee, because Mura wore all the pads because he was a vert rider though mostly, But
All right, we got two more rapid fire. We're going outside the realm of action sports. We're talking big
right,
picture, real life.
the big picture.
What is the key to happiness?
Yeah. What's the key? Probably just to roll through life like you don't care about anything really. Like you just want to roll through life. Don't worry about anything. Like don't stress, because stress will cause a lot of terrible things to happen. Like when I had my own company, the stress of it all was just
Yeah.
driving me insane. Like, and that's where BMX came in for me. BMX and music. Just get away from it. Go ride for a while. Like
That's great.
that's probably the key to happiness is just stay away from stress. Like negative energy is terrible too. I've been through my deal with that too.
That's. I mean, a lot of people are gonna
Positive vibes.
totally empathize with what you said.
You know.
Myself, when I was younger, I was 13, 14. My parents divorced. I was living in a not great living situation,
Right.
shared family house with other people that weren't great people,
Right.
and nothing. And also you stack that on top of the fact that you're 14, which is a tough time
Heck
trying to
yeah.
figure out who you
As
are,
it is,
and you're
right.
in this like super toxic environment surrounded by a lot of not great things. And
Right.
all I knew was if I ride around the corner to the convenience store and try to bunny hop up these curbs, like it's all good.
Problem solved.
It's all
Yeah.
good, brother.
Right.
And now I'm
Yeah.
much older than that, and it's the same thing. Like, my wife knows. Like,
Mm-hmm.
sometimes she's like, "Yo, you need to go for a ride
Right.
because you need to get out there,
Yep.
whether it be this ride or mountain bike ride, just somewhere where you have that thought, that
That-
space, right?
Yep. Totally.
And that's
right.
huge. That's absolutely
That's a big
huge.
deal. Yeah. See, a lot of people I don't think have that.
No,
People have shut themselves into themselves because of COVID and
Yeah.
all that frightening crap that did to people.
yep. All right, last
The
question.
mind psych of it all. You know.
This is a weird one. You don't have to answer this.
Shit.
What is your biggest regret in life?
Oh man, see that's the thing. I always fly with the no regrets thing. Like
That's a great
no
answer.
regrets.
Yeah.
You know, like the bumper sticker or the stupid tattoo. No
Yeah.
regrets. Yeah, I just really I don't believe. I'd have to research myself probably for a while, but I don't believe I have any regrets.
That's
I
awesome.
really don't. No, because like when we talked about meeting my girl in '82, getting married in '86, firstborn in '90, second in '96, it was very much part of the plan. Like, okay, vows are serious, till death do us part.
Yeah.
That's what it says. Okay, and you swore that in front of God.
Yeah.
So like, you better stick to your end of the bargain. Like to me, divorce is not an option. You know, and like, and it's
Yeah.
a shame that a lot of people take that route because my parents did too, and I remember what it did to me. You
Yeah.
know, like that's like leaving senior year was John Marshall. I was in John Marshall at the time, Ridgeway Avenue, right? Because I lived on Winchester, grew up on Winchester Street. My dad worked at Kodak, right? So we walked to school. You know, it was uphill in both directions too.
Knee deep
With
snow.
no damn
yeah.
sneakers.
Yeah.
But but you know, just the fact that we were much more free back then, though, too. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway, so I moved to Greece in 82. Yeah, because I graduated in '84. So we literally moved into the building that was right there where Honda Hills
Okay.
was, and I never knew it was there though. Like if I had, that might have changed my direction too.
Yeah.
You know, because I never like, oh, I'm gonna be a pro. I just wanted to ride.
Yeah.
You know, like I had that very aggressive attitude from roofing, and I still today find myself having a good time and getting mad because I'm not progressing. Like, damn it, I need to throw something new. You know what I mean?
I feel. How old are you again?
The chasing happiness thing. 59, I turned. Yeah,
I feel like.
I'm a December baby, so I'm 60 this year.
Yeah, I feel like new learns
Yeah.
are gonna be rare
Yeah, well,
when you're
that's the
pushing 60
problem.
years old. Zip.
And no, I'm starting to want to try to do some manuals at least, or some
Yeah.
throw your foot on the peg and do the hang five, whatever it
Yeah,
is,
yeah.
on the front end.
Yeah.
I think all that's possible because I run all 4 pegs. I mean, balance is a great thing.
Everything's possible in the eyes of the Lord.
Right, that's right. But if I had been, what do they call that, where you're doing tricks on the ground, flatland?
Flatland, yeah.
I never could do any of that though. I don't know. It takes some serious skill in my mind. You know, jumps. That's always what I liked. But you know where that came from was the Evil Knievel. That's what I wanted to say too. He was an influence when I was young.
Yeah.
My dad would be like, "Come on, Jeff," you know.
I feel like that's
just
something
gave
Matt
out my
Hoffman
first
has
name,
said too.
Jeff. Just gave out my first name. He'd be like, "Come on, Jeff. Evil Knievel's jumping the 18-wheelers," you know.
Yeah.
And then we're sitting there watching, and you know he's got his arm around both me and my brother, and we're watching Evil Knievel, and doesn't he eat shit? Right there on Wide World of Sports, you know. So it was always like, well, that's what I want to do. So we would set straight boards up on the picnic table and just race at it with the old Stingray with the big ape hanger
Just jump
bars,
it, yeah.
the banana seat shifter on the frame and all that, and just jump the thing straight over garbage cans. And we would take 2 cans and keep counting out until we're out to like 2 cans are 10 cans away.
Yeah.
So you got to envision the rest of them are there too.
Yeah, yeah, of course.
But then they're your father's new cans, so the minute you land on that shit, well, there's a beating because you just trashed the guy. There was always a thing that you had to deal
Yeah.
with to be a kid. But yeah, you trash the cans, now you got to deal with that.
All right, last question.
But yeah. I shoot off on these tangents.
Yeah, that's fine. We'll have you on. We got plenty to talk about.
Yeah, I'm sure.
We talked earlier about embodied experiences, and I don't think I need to emphasize that it's an embodied experience because you're old enough to be pre-smartphone, and I think you still don't have a smartphone.
No,
So-
I finally did due to that.
Okay.
Yeah, due to that hopper scooter
Okay,
job I
yeah.
got. Yeah.
So all of your life experiences are embodied experiences. So that was gonna be asking, like, what's a thing, like an experience in life that was an embodied experience that was like, like an impactful one in your life, like this, like one of the best experiences you ever had.
Holy cow!
Is it your
that's
marriage, your
that's
kids
a
getting
heck of a
born, like?
question. Yeah, that's where I'd have to fall too. Like
Yeah.
to me, one of the biggest things I ever accomplished was meeting a really good woman early, and then said, "Hey, set a plan in place. Let's have a kid." So probably the best thing that ever happened to me was having 2 kids. Because like you said, an embodied experience. So
Yeah.
like and we even went down to right to, well, when do you want to plan? What months do you want to be pregnant?
Yeah.
So you got to be like, oh, okay, don't want to be pregnant through the summer.
Yeah.
So it's like right down to that, yeah. Because then you're like, okay, I accomplished something. I had 2 kids; they're the best 2 kids ever. But also just this whole situation of me being the guy who built skate parks in Rochester. To me, that's kind of a huge deal.
Yeah.
It is. So the marriage, the kids, and I'm the skate park builder in Rochester. I
That's
guess.
an awesome note to end on,
Weird.
because like that positivity around having kids and finding a good woman is something that, like, you just don't hear anyone talk about that anymore. Everyone talks about, like,
Yeah, it's
my
so
girlfriend's
bad.
a pain in the ass, and my
Yep.
wife is
Like, oh, what time
kids are
is it?
so hard, and it's
Yeah,
like
not
one
really.
of the one of the main tenets of the discussions I want to have here circle around that, like being like, no,
Yeah.
like, do it, like, have the life, plan
Right.
out the life, have the, like, I'm gonna find a good woman. I recently had a kid, and it's pretty transformative. Although I've done a lot of things in my life that were like transformative, packed up my car, moved here, etc. I've done, like, a lot.
that's
I've done a lot more than
huge
most
to
people.
move here and do what you
And I
did,
could
though.
imagine
Holy cow.
if you never did anything big in your life, having a kid would just be like absolutely mind blowing, because like you wake up the next day and you don't have the same life.
Right.
So like,
Yeah, life changes, totally does. Because
That-
now you're working towards something, yeah. Right.
yeah, I'm so happy you said that. I even got,
Yeah.
I got a little teary.
a little
but
choked up, yeah.
it's
But
just
no,
like-
it's true though. Like
people just don't know what they're missing.
they don't know what they're missing. They don't know the value of their life.
This
They don't. Yeah,
this stupid phone
that's
sucks the
bad.
happiness out of your life, and you
It
can't
does.
even be totally embodied in your experience because you're tempted by
Yeah, but
all the other
He has
possibilities.
been on video. The guy who invented all that stuff, Facebook and all that. He said he knew that's what was going to happen.
Oh, everyone, all the
They
people,
knew
yeah,
it was going to change the world in a way that wasn't good.
all the people that work for all the
They still
companies that
did
make
it.
all these things don't let their kids touch it, and that should
Right.
tell you a lot about it.
Exactly right. Yeah.
So with that
Yeah,
being
no
said,
doubt.
take out your smartphone and subscribe to
I
our
know,
channel.
right? Silence it now.
BFS Live on Instagram, Breaking Free Skate Park on YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can find us on Patreon. You could support us there, $5 a month, $10 a month, or you can come down to the skate park and ride.
Right. Keep the dream alive. Yeah. That's
Zippy,
right.
I'm so happy you came in.
Yeah, we talked about building that crater thing we were going to say. I remember I
Yeah.
thought you said maybe you wanted to build the crater. Didn't you say that?
I don't know. I say a lot of things.
The crater, you know how they built the moon room on
Yeah.
Ray and Ray's or whatever.
I don't know. I got plans, but that's for a separate
That's not it.
podcast.
Yeah,
So,
no, we don't announce our plans.
again, thank you for coming in. I appreciate everything you did. You're
no
on my
problem.
you're on my Mount Rushmore of Rochester action sports
It's crazy
parks.
because I never even thought about something like that, but
And,
that's wild. I
we got
appreciate
plenty
that.
years
That's
of riding and
very kind comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, but people they meet me now and they're like, you give me hope for the future because like I'm just gonna ride until I can't ride
Yeah.
anymore, and that's what I'm gonna do. Just ride till I can't, or till the thrill is gone, and it hasn't happened. So
one of my life goals was to be the oldest person to be able to bunny hop 360.
yeah.
And when I made that goal, it seemed really attainable. But now
Bunny hop
there's a lot of really
360.
old people that are still riding and killing it. So catch me up
Dude,
when
I
I'm
don't know.
65.
Yeah, bunny hop tail whip would be nuts.
I can't do that either way.
Like, dude, if
Anyway.
you see me rolling around the park on my front end, then I've actually accomplished something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. That's it. Thank
All
you
right,
for
see ya.
watching. Thank
Peace.
you for being here. Appreciate everything you do.
Oh, I appreciate you. Keep
Hit,
this dream
subscribe
alive.
and
Yeah,
like, leave a comment, all that good fun stuff.
for sure.
I'll see you at the skate park later.
Yeah, to see ya.